So we're going to move on to a butternut squash soup. I've actually taken the liberty to prep this a little bit. I took a whole butternut squash, cut it in half lengthwise, and put the two cut halves face down in a pan at 375 degrees, baked it for about 45 minutes. And this is what we got. The soup's a little bit labor intensive in terms of time, but it's pretty good. We're going to take this squash. As you can see, once it's been in there for 45 minutes, it's done. Be careful when you're cutting it though at first before you cook it. It is a lot like a pumpkin. If you've ever tried to cut a pumpkin, they can be really difficult and hard to handle. So I'm kind of just peeling the meat out of the skin. We're going to actually puree this and make it real thin. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of it, throw it in a bowl. Kind of dig it off the sides. And this soup is it's got some cinnamon in it. It's going to be a little bit sweeter, but it's going to be really good. A good winter soup. I know it's not the winter, we're moving into spring, but here's an ode to those days that have passed. The recipe calls for about 7 pounds of butternut squash. I don't really measure. I believe it's going to be about a whole squash. I'm going to grab this and move this out of the way so I can move this one over. I'm going to keep digging. Squash is actually really good for you. It's kind of a sweet, I don't know if it's technically a vegetable. I haven't read up on squash, but party foul. So we'll get this half done. The soup is really simple once you got the squash taken care of. We'll go ahead and throw this in the sink. Get rid of that. Dig some of this out. All right, so I've got most of the meat off that skin. I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there. I'm going to throw this in a bowl, kind of mix it up, puree it. The heat has kind of made it kind of a mushy texture, so we'll throw that in there. I've got some vegetable broth. We're going to add about 1.5 cups to 2 cups. Kind of mix it up. We're looking for a good soup consistency, so I'll just keep adding that until we feel like it's good to go. I also have about 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. Go ahead and add that. And a pinch of salt. To do this, just keep going with it. It's going to kind of thicken up because we added all the dry cinnamon. We still have a lot of leftover broth, so it's okay if you want to add more. The soup is up to you. Use as much broth as you want. If you don't, it's going to look like pie filling, but I mean, if you want a squash pie, go for it. I've got a saucepan over here going. I'm just going to add this in. It's kind of hot. Going to go ahead and add some more broth to that. Gonna really get it going good. And when it's warmed through, it'll be good to go. So we'll dish that up and start on our burritos.